Hi, it's Lorna, and today we're going to be learning how to make a polymer pendant. So I have a few things. I have my clay, I have black, white, and several different colors. The colors you choose are up to you. I'm just doing the colors that I like. I have an awl, and I use this awl for a lot of different things. Paper quilling, I use it for clay, I use it for painting. It's just a sharp needle tool, and you can use a toothpick in its place. I have a roller, that's that white tube there. You could use a marker, you could use some other plastic roller. I recommend plastic for this. I do not recommend wood because the polymer will stick to the wood. And then the silver bar next to it is a clay cutter. You could use a kitchen knife or an X-Acto blade. Most things other than clay cutters will smush your clay just a little bit, so keep that in mind. So off screen here, I just rolled out using a pasta roller, and you can get pasta rollers from box stores and from online. Sometimes they're billed as clay machines, sometimes they're billed as pasta rollers. I would go with the one that is cheapest for you, that has the most settings. This is laid out to about a 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to draw out my design. You could do a square, a triangle, just an organic shape, whatever shape you desire. Here I'm going to do a teardrop shape. So I'm just using my awl to draw out my shape and then cut it out. I know it's hard to see because it's black, but once I cut it out, you'll be able to see. You can use a cookie cutter, you can use a stencil and cut that out. I'm just using this clay cutter to clean up the edges. I don't know if you can hear it, but my cat is purring and kind of chewing on my phone right now. I was debating on redoing the voice recording, but I think it's kind of adorable. So that strange motor sound is my cat. My cat helps me with all of my tutorials. He is the best coworker. So I'm just smoothing out my surface here with my fingers, doing a little cleanup, doing some trimming, and then I'm going to roll out some greens. I'm going to use greens for the majority of my line work, and I'm just going to do some wavy lines here. And you can roll these out with your rolling pin, or you can use your clay machine. I'm going to be using the clay machine / pasta roller for a few of these, and then I will also show you how to do it by rolling out a coil. My work surface that I am working on right now is a piece of parchment paper. The parchment paper is going to help it so that my clay doesn't stick while I'm working, and it doesn't stick when it's in the oven. So I'm actually going to use a piece of this in the oven as well. They do sell clay mats for in the oven. Sometimes they come with kits. They are just oven-proof little mats that help it so that if you have pieces that are prone to sagging or need a little bit more support, you can pop that in the oven. So I have a strip of clay. I'm going to cut it into about a 1/4 inch. Just kind of pressing it out because I don't want it to be a perfectly straight line. I want it to be kind of wavy. If you imagine a pea pod, so peas, the pods come up around the side, and if you imagine opening it up, there's little balls on the inside of peas. That is what I'm kind of going for here. Pea pod jewelry, it's the new trend. So I actually am just going to make the sides here, and then I'm going to fill the centers with little balls of clay. It's just going to be an abstract design here. So I have my green, and I'm going to be using several different types of green. This is the darkest. To attach polymer clay to other polymer clay, you do not have to score and slip. You do not have to use any kind of liquid like a slip. They do sell liquid Sculpey. that does help with adhering. Specifically, it helps with adhering baked pieces to other baked pieces, which is great. It can also help remove fingerprints, and it can help remove some surface imperfections on your pieces. So Liquid Sculpey is great. They also have a Sculpey adhesive. So if you weren't planning on smushing anything down and you just wanted to set it on there, you could totally use the Liquid Sculpey or the Sculpey adhesives. But the clay is very sticky and it will stick to itself with just some gentle pressure. So I'm applying the gentle pressure in a downward motion to stick my green pieces to my black. And these are sticking straight up. It's kind of hard to see on the camera that they are not flat. So I'm going in with another color. Some of my clay colors are a little bit softer than others. That's just due to the pigment manufacturing. Again, I am not using Sculpey. I'm not using Fimo. I am using, I don't know what brand, to be honest. It's just some random brand from Amazon. Amazon does have their own brand of Sculpey. I have not tried it out. It is Arteza brand. But a lot of their products are pretty good and very affordable. So I'm just pushing down the edges here just a little bit. And you can see that it's a little bit more three-dimensional as well. So by rolling out a coil, I'm going to be able to get the same effect that I did with the pasta roller. So I'm just going to press this coil out flat. And you can see it's a little bit more wavy. I could trim that up, but I actually like the wavy aspect to it. And again, I am doing these wavy lines so that I can fill in the centers. But if you wanted to, you could stop here and have kind of a seaweed look. It kind of reminds me of the ocean and how the seaweed waves in the ocean. You could do a blue background or a navy background, or maybe even a gradient would be kind of cool with this. Maybe a little red starfish, little pink starfish would be cool. And that would give you a really, really awesome look, I think. So now that I have all of the green strips laid out and I like the way that that looks, again, this could be a very finished pendant. You don't have to go on from here, but I'm going to go on. I'm just going to take a little bit of this teal. This is a very firm clay. This clay is a mixture of I don't know what. I think I maybe have some mica powders in there, maybe some makeup. I have no idea, but it is very stiff and hard to knead. So I'm just going to take this clay and I am going to make a little donut. So I'm going to roll a ball. Then I'm going to take my awl, poke a hole. And I'm going to spin it in between my fingers so that it doesn't flatten out. and widen it with my awl. Again, you could use any kind of tool for this that is slender and pointy. You could cut out the center of these with a small straw as well. This one is too small for a regular straw, but I do have some tiny straws that come with various products that I save for work like this. If you really get into sculpting with Sculpey, you'll start to save strange things from around your house that you think would make good indents or impressions. Like a ballpoint pen cap is great because one end has little triangles and the other end has a little circle that you can press into it, and that's really cool. I have a little straw that comes from the end of the dust off cleaner. It's like a tiny little straw, but it makes great little circle indents. I have some textures that I like from silicone mats that I use, candy molds that have strange textures. Like I have a pineapple one that's really cool. It actually looks like a woven basket, so I use that one from time to time. You could even press leaves into Sculpey and then peel them out, and that leaves a leaf texture, which is really neat. I have a stick that I roll around in it sometimes. Sometimes the products will stick in there, so artificial flowers and things like that can work really good for leaving impressions. But I have some pretty strange things that I use for stamping into clay if I think it will leave a cool mark or an interesting shape. You could also bake beads and glitter and things like that into Sculpey, so it's pretty fun. Just make sure that you're not putting anything into your Sculpey that will melt and become toxic, like plastic beads are a no-go. Glass beads are fine. So I'm just going to roll out these little balls and put them on in various ways. And my thought process behind putting on these is color and shape and texture. So the main principles are value, shape, texture, color. So I am really focusing on that in this piece. So I have some larger balls, and then I'm going to do some descending and ascending shapes. So I'm going to go from a big ball to small, and then maybe back to big again. And this row is going to be primarily blues and greens, but I am going to be using the yellows and oranges as well. And this would be a fun way to make like a Christmas tree ornament as well. You could do a similar shape to this and do some garland for the green, instead of the green stripes, you could do garland, little balls for the ornaments and baubles. So you can actually mix these colors. I'm going to show you right now. I'm just going to knead them together. It takes a little bit of time to get a consistent color, so I'm just going to pull and mix and pull and mix, pull and mix until I get a solid color that I like. This is also how you would marble Sculpey. So if I didn't mix it thoroughly, you would get a marbled color. So now I have a lime green. I feel like the lime green is a good transition between the colors that I have here. I feel like it really needed it. So I'm going to take my piece of lime green, and I'm just going to take a piece of this darker orange, and I'm going to make a donut with my lime green and pop a little bit of the darker orange into the center. I'm going to show you how to make just a little textured, almost like a flowered shape, or maybe it's a sea anemone if you stopped at that, because it still kind of looks oceany right now. It has maybe some bubbles and maybe a little sea anemone hanging out in here, maybe some coral. Be kind of cool. So I have my little lime green donut, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of this orange in the center. And again, judging the size, pop it on there. It's too big, you take a little bit off, pop it on there. Maybe it's still too big, tap it in. So I'm going to take my awl and I'm going to make some texture. So I'm just going around and pulling the lime green into the center, almost like a flower. So almost like making petals. I'm just starting from the outside of the lime green donut and bringing my awl to the inside of the lime green donut and stopping at the orange. I don't want to cut into the orange at all. And you can see that it's a little tiny flower shape. And I think adding different things like the little teal donut at the beginning and this lime green flower are going to add a little bit more texture and dimension to my piece, as opposed to just having little balls all over, which would be fine as well. So it's really up to you what kinds of things that you want. I could take my awl and poke little holes in the balls and make more texture as well. Like a little moon crater or something it would look like. So I'm just going to continue in this method, and I'm going to put in various shapes and colors of clay into this piece. So I'm going to stop talking and let you watch that, and I'll come back in a little bit. So I have made all of my shapes and I have pushed my edges in around them. I am going to take a little bit of teal and pop it at the top, and right now I am making that donut shape, but I am making my donut hole go all the way through to the black. So I'm actually making the part where my findings, my jump ring, is going to go. If you don't want to do all the findings, you could make the hole slightly larger and just put some cord through there. That works as well. I am planning on putting some jump rings through there and a nice chain. So I just took the awl and poked a hole all the way through my piece at the top there, at the very top of the teardrop. And the donut kind of hides it because it looks like a shape that we already have repeating in the pattern. So I'm just tapping on a few pieces around the side just to make sure that my sides are taken care of. Just like in painting, you always gotta look at your edges because this is a three-dimensional piece and you don't want it to be unattractive or unappealing from the sides. Because if someone catches a view of it on the sides and it's all jagged and not looking good, you know, it's going to take away from all your hard work that you have on the top. So I have my hole going all the way through. I'm just going to move my awl around there, just make sure that I have a large enough space for my jump ring. Now, if it somehow shrank too much or the hole wasn't big enough, you can drill Sculpey carefully with a Dremel, or drill it with a hand drill. Any of that works. You may even be able to get through it with an awl if it's slightly warm. So that is the end of my tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this and that you make your own design. I am going to add a clear glaze on top of this to take care of some of my fingerprints. You could use different clear liquids like clear Sculpey or spray paint. I hope that you make your own design, and if you do, share it with us. We'd really love to see it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos. Have a wonderful day.